The root of all evil, everyone, is Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always by my co-hosts Lauren and Bruce, and today we are making our way through Fleetway Sonic, because that's what we've been doing for like 20 weeks now. We've got some stories here tonight. We've got like 3 Sonic stories and then a whole bunch of Tails stuff.
We sure do.
We're making our beginning here with Roots, Kitching, and Elson. Continuing from last week, Sonic and the Chaotix lead the charge against the Swamp Mage Root, who has control over Blockhead Bill and Society Max's minds. Can I just say, we already had a story named Roots.
We did?
Yes, it's very strange that they
didn't even remember
use
that.
the name like that.
It was Knuckles and Ebony and the Talking Trees.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, so, we're starting the story, and, hey look, that thing that came up last week we didn't get to see, Vector did in fact get a new way in and out of the special zone. We have doors now.
Fair enough.
What a revolutionary invention. I don't know what they're going to use this for. I mean, they already had the Omni Viewer. Do we really want, like, people passing through? That seems like something that people are going to exploit.
Yeah, mostly people from the special zone, I feel like.
The special zone is full of kooky weirdos. Yeah, I don't really need a lot of them coming to Mobius.
I love Sonic's comment about the door as well. Vector says, you can come whenever you want. And Sonic says, that's the point, Vector. I don't want to come to this crazy dimension. Whenever I do come to the special zone, stupid things happen to me. It's like, damn, Sonic, you're saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the writers.
We're all feeling.
The writers are not unaware of the absurdity of what goes on in the special zone. They do seem to be unaware that it's not really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Also, we need to set these doors up on Mobius, so it's like we only have the one right now anyway.
Right.
So is that what this story is going to be about? No.
Of course not, because that would have been boring.
This story is instead about how Blockhead Bill, who we met last week, there's swamp monsters invading his brain.
Yeah, so maybe this guy isn't actually, like, losing their mind. It's just this, the mind thing.
It definitely
that's really all that's going.
Maybe. We do get a look at Root here and some of his underlings, scheming. They've got their portal of doom or whatever, and yeah, it takes control of Bill and makes him grab another one of his stupid Root things and throw it at Society Max, which turns him back into the violent dinosaur from last time. Also, I'm just realizing Society Max and Max Gamble both have names like that and are both lizards.
Yeah, it's true. Both very well-dressed lizards.
Indeed. So yeah, we're fighting Dinosaur Man again. Mighty gets pissed off and throws them through the wall and off the building.
Yeah, wow.
Well, actually, he only throws them part of the way because they crash down the wall and then they're still on top of the sign that says Chaotix. Did I miss when did the Chaotix get a tower in New Tech City, by the way?
I think this is the first time they were just recently still wanted and now suddenly they're perfectly accepted.
Yeah.
And they never explained how that changed. It's like they're never going to explain this tower.
The Chaotix are like cursed for us, aren't they? Because I don't think we minded them that much in the games, but every adaptation they find ways to piss us off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charmy gets wounded in all of this, by the way.
Oh yeah, he gets hit by. I think he just gets punched or something.
Yeah, Bill just punches him. Then the swamp dudes teleport both of the old men away.
He reaches out and grabs them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of a giant hand reaching out of the sky, but then they disappear, so it's a bit interpretive. Vector takes this as a sign that some kind of the legendary creature called Root exists.
Well, it's like the prophecy about Supersonic destroying everything. The special zone just has all sorts of weird legends.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
And, he's angry that Bill did not complete his task to contaminate the city's water supply, which I guess was why he was trying to possess him.
Yeah.
So I guess him invading Bill's mind has been a thing for a while up to this point. But I don't know if he's just too dumb to follow anyone's orders.
He's not very effective, just like most villains in the special.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do the thing again like last time where they're like, I thought Sonic was the Crimson Cobra, and clearly that's against Root's orders. So I don't think it's totally that his mind is being controlled that he acts weird.
Yeah.
Oh well, that might have been slightly, but no, he's just weird, like everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it hits weirder when it is someone that is related to a character from the games, even if Mighty isn't established in basically anything other than comic books.
Yeah.
But so Sonic and the Chaotix are on the chase, on the way to Root's Swamp in this another new weird-looking spaceship.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Freedom Fighter special.
In that it's chrome and a ship and they just have it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They just randomly have it.
So they land, they get stuck in the mud, and then there's mud monsters.
There certainly are.
Insert Sonic the Comic action sequence,
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like, I don't know if I have more or less to say. It feels like I don't have as much to say about fighting when it starts in these comics. Mostly because Archie usually pulls bullshit, but...
True.
But yeah, so they fight, but then the head honcho shows up and launches a bunch of sleepy spores, which Sonic tries to blow away with the speed tornado, and it doesn't work. So we're all captured now, and well, it's really weird because we're in Root's captivity, and Blockhead Bill explains how he and Max, except he calls him Sam here. It's really weird. He calls him Sam, even though that's clearly the same guy. But he talks about how they were first captured and placed under Root's control, and how the heroes are all headed for the same. Is it a Sam and Max joke? I don't know. It would be a really random reference to make, but yeah, Sonic manages to get all the vines off of himself, but all of the Chaotix have been turned.
So now it's time for heroes fight the other heroes.
Yeah,
as we've done with the Chaotix before, actually.
Well, and I was thinking, it's like the Knuckles comic where... was it Enerjack who hypnotized all of them?
Oh,
The very first Knuckles arc?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was Archimedes who did that, because he was also in an antagonistic role in that series for some reason.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Chaotix are all assigned to infect the city with Root's swamp serum, like Bill before, but Sonic, of course, is going to stop them.
Yeah.
And we have a bit of group fighting here, but not for that long. Mostly you just take it as a chance to reveal with these little sparklies on them that they've got little roots sticking out of their head, which are the weak point of the mind control. But Sonic decides, I actually don't want to hurt these people in one big group clusterfuck, so I'm gonna run away.
Understandable.
Should have said, I don't want to hurt them except Charmy.
Yeah.
That's what I'd expect out of this comic.
Yeah.
So now we get into this little sort of cat and mouse progression where everybody's chasing after Sonic, but since he's run away, they've all split up, so he gets to fight him one-on-one. It's, I'm feeling like I'm explaining a lot. I'm worried that I'm not leaving space for other people to talk, but then I'm realizing, no, it's just a very, very one-track mind of a comic.
There's not a whole lot
to say,
really going on.
It's mostly fighting. Sonic manages to catch Mighty off guard and pull the root from him, but then Espio sneaks up on him with invisibility, and then Charmy, Vector, and Bill and Max all try to dogpile him, basically. But fortunately for Sonic, despite not possessing comic book bullshit like Archie, Sonic is still overpowered.
Of course.
Bro.
So, punch Espio out, send Charmy flying into some rocks, tickle Max into submission for some reason, and then Bill just stands there so we can ignore him. He doesn't go after him.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
I do like Vector being wrapped up in vines with "Do not open till Christmas."
I did enjoy that.
Although, knowing this comic, Christmas will be like next week.
True. But Sonic did this exact thing in Archie once to Eve when they were a snake.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, it's a good memory you got. So we run back to fight Root alone, who tries to do something. His staff glows. But then we don't see what he's trying to do before Sonic just knocks over a stone pillar and crushes him.
Yeah, Sonic just straight up kills him.
Well, if he were a normal guy, it definitely would be.
Yeah.
But out of his body, his wooden carcass, I guess, emerges Woodchuck. Maybe he's a bear? I don't know, what is he?
Some the animals half the time are just not BS.
Yeah, he's just a little dude, and that's weird. He's not Root. No, he was just the host. The real Root is an actual Root with arms and legs.
I mean, I didn't expect it, but like, you didn't foreshadow it at all. It doesn't count for much. It's kind of a random plot twist.
It really is.
Well, so Parasite's possession, I think it makes sense for the original to be just some little thing, but it's like it doesn't mean anything. It's not like this story had a theme exactly, or like did anything with the concept of like, oh, you use others to fight for you, or yada yada yada, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like, oh look, it's a Root. Oh well, that's it. The end.
Yeah, it's very, as I said, one-track mind. Sonic catches it in a jar, and the rest of the Chaotix show up. Sans hypnosis. Nobody pulled the Root out of Bill. Does that still work?
That's a good question.
Maybe there never really was a Root, and he's just like that.
Maybe Bill just doesn't.
Yeah, so this thing attached itself to this other guy's named Morton. They give him a name for some reason, despite not mattering. And yeah, it started being evil. Now it's safely contained in a jar, and Blockhead Bill says, I want to eat it!
You just let him eat it. I mean...
I say let him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the story.
It's a story.
I feel like...
surprisingly lengthy and high effort for all the nothing.
Yeah, it was lengthy. Exactly. It was lengthy for no reason.
Exactly. It's like, it's a big Kitching and Elson story, and I expect that to have, you know, something significant meaning. It even had a prequel last week. But ultimately, it does not amount to much of anything. This might as well have been a Stringer and McMahon story.
Yeah.
And you introduce a family member for one of the Chaotix, which barely happens in the franchise, and he's just a crazy old guy who doesn't help, and that's it.
Are we...
Yeah, I mean, maybe there'll be more later.
I'm wondering, are we going to see him again? But
I don't remember, maybe... Definitely something in this story is actually a seed planted for something else, but it has nothing to do with this story when it comes up.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't know. They should have done more with it, or integrated it into some other ongoing story, but they didn't. So, let's move along here. The Takeover, Kitching and Dobbin. The Cult of Robotnik recruits 4 elite members to attack Angel Island and steal the Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles and Porker Lewis have their hands full stopping them.
I have to wonder. People are constantly trying to rob Angel Island in, like, all of the continuities. Do they just think Knuckles is just not going to fight back?
I mean, I think that he's one guy and usually a teenager, so...
Yeah, but, like...
Keep in mind, they're successful, like, 50% of the time across the series.
Okay, that is also
That's true.
That is also true.
So, yeah, we're starting with the Cult of Robotnik, and this is easily the most elaborate story that they've been featured in up to this point, and the most serious plan of theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They apparently have branded flying transport vehicles and uniforms now, so is somebody funding them?
What? I don't get it. Like,
they must be getting money from somewhere.
I thought they were keeping a low profile because, you know, they're like a cult. The fact that no, they've just got totally this is who we are. That doesn't make much sense. You asked last time about like, oh, why weren't they getting arrested? And you know, I kind of assumed the idea was that maybe they slipped off or something, like they did the first time. But like, this doesn't make any sense. Like,
maybe
it really doesn't.
They have to be a significant force for this to make any sense, and they aren't, as far as we've seen.
Guys, this is how you justify Max Gamble having so many stories. He's the one funding them.
You know what?
Oh, maybe.
Sure.
I mean, I guess.
It would be really funny if these guys did end up putting Robotnik back in power, and he finally had control again, and they were like, we did all this for you, and he's like, huh, neat. Anyway, you're Badniks now.
I mean, that's what I would expect them to do, but I doubt that's actually going to happen.
Well, I guess I won't spoil anything. But they're attacking Angel Island to get the Chaos Emeralds for Robotnik, but unlike last time, Knuckles and Lewis are actually there today, and so are the Guardian robots.
Yeah, things are finally looking up for Knuckles, aside from this stupid attack, but it's just the Cult of Robotnik. I mean, they're not that bad. He's actually, like, successfully repaired the island systems. Wow.
Yeah, he's got a whole suite of robots.
Yeah, we've finally, kind of come to an end of that plot.
A long time.
Yep, and they are at least competent. It's like I say, like, you know, oh, this is a cult of Robotnik. And yeah, they do make short work of the normal cultists, but their 4 new members have disappeared because they hired some elite specialists for this.
Yeah, so the island systems came back online, but then they just kind of broke through the force field because reasons. And I'm like, what? Huh? They can just do that? But it's just these people. Basically, these 4 weirdos decided that they needed a lift, I guess, because they do all the serious stuff here.
Yeah, we got reptile woman named Alpha, gorilla named Beta, giraffe named Gamma, and old man named Delta. No E-series here, as much as I'd like that.
These were E-series robots. This would be way better.
That would be a lot more interesting.
I mean, I just like E-series robots, but yeah.
That would just be a lot more interesting than...
Well, it's just... I don't understand who these people are and why they're so capable. We're gonna see they can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so the cult of Robotnik has basically been a joke up to this point, so I assume that the fact that they had to hire these people means, you know, there's someone from some kind of underground, some kind of, you know, darker industries. Maybe they're assassins, maybe they work for some other kind of crime lord or something.
You have to assume something like that, but you never get any real explanation.
Well, I mean, then the question would be, how did the cult of Robotnik come into contact with people that are competent?
Right.
That's also a good question.
But regardless, Knuckles sees all 4 of them and decides it's time to go to punches. And, well, in terms of hand-to-hand combat, it's pretty hard to beat Knuckles, but Mr. Delta here blinds him with a laser cigar, and then Mr. Beta throws him off the cliff.
Well, rip Knuckles. It was good while it lasted.
Well, there's some hint here that these 4 aren't quite the same brand of villain as
they do
Ultra Robotnik, because they're literally like, oh, don't worry, Knuckles, you'll get your sight back. And
yeah, they do say, oh, don't worry, you'll get your sight back just in time to be able to glide back. We just don't want you in our way. Yeah. But that does seem like pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, if you blind someone and push them out of the sky, there's not a lot that you can really make excuses for. They are correct, though, because Knuckles does manage to latch onto the side of the island and climb back up into the some of the island's underground tunnels, which I can believe that it has. And he just barely... He does almost die throughout all of this, but thankfully, Lewis is watching all of this on a monitor and decides, oh, I better activate the robots to defend the Emerald Chamber. And good idea. They do indeed attack the Power Rangers here. So Mr. Beta is fighting them, but Delta activates the chameleon circuits on their outfits. Are we doing Doctor Who? It's called. That's what it's called in Doctor Who. That makes it look like the police box.
Yeah, I mean it's not specific enough term. It's not like, I can't remember the one comic where somebody reversed the polarity of something.
Oh, yeah.
That's done in other things, but that's more likely than... I don't know. It could be a reference. Either way, I find it a little ridiculous that this again, Mr. Delta can just... Well, now the Guardian robots are useless. They can't see us. Cool. They're so... They have everything they need.
It's exactly the problem I was talking about in the Dracon story, where I said, maybe we should have been able to see the defenses, but then what if it was jobbing, essentially? And... So they can just make the robots not see them, and they're still on their way to Lewis, who is now running out of options. And he says, "If only Knuckles were here. What are you, early series Tails?"
A lot like that. It's more reasonable from Porker.
He is at least someone that has been characterized in such a way that he would have to rely on somebody else like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's not like he didn't try before this.
He did his best, but don't worry, because Knuckles is here. He blasts through the wall, and it's very funny, because, like, the manhole cover he pushes through is like, it could have crushed somebody against the opposite wall if it was in the way. And, frankly, I kind of wish that had happened, because then he just anticlimactically beats Gorilla Man with one punch.
Yeah. The fights are getting kind of starting to feel a little late.
It's not lazy, it's samey, I think is what it's saying.
Samey, maybe, It's mostly, to me at least, just the stories are starting to feel very...
A little bit, yeah, and Anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of stories feeling familiar, despite beating Gorilla Man, Mr. Gamma slaps Knuckles with a shock collar. It's just like the Hunter stories.
I did not think about that. Okay, but how does Gamma just, like, walk up behind Knuckles and put it on? Like, it's not like he's sneaking. Like, Knuckles should know he's there. How did he do that?
Well, and literally, Lizard Lady is telling him to do that as he's walking up behind Knuckles.
Yeah.
True.
Huh. Good point.
Knuckles has been having a bad day. He's getting distracted. So yeah, he is under their control, but Miss Alpha clarifies they don't actually give a shit about the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, they just want, like, the treasure on the island, which I didn't even know there was, like, quote-unquote treasure.
I mean,
there definitely is.
it doesn't-
Wonder went up for
surprise
some
me.
of it.
That's true. It doesn't really surprise me.
Wonder
Yeah.
Actually, a few people have. That was the same treasure, but I'm sure there's others. Yeah, it's really funny that Knuckles asked them, like, why do you want the Chaos Emeralds? Don't you know how dangerous they are? And then they're like, yeah, of course we do. We don't want them. We're not
Yeah.
idiots.
we don't even care about Robotnik. We literally just want to personally profit from this. And sometimes when and when I think of this, I think, what if he let him? You know, it's like Knuckles doesn't really care about the treasure. You know, and obviously the answer is it belongs to his people. They don't have a right to just steal shit.
Fair, but I gotta agree. Why should Knuckles give it?
I mean, it's kind of rude what they've done to him so far.
Okay, fair.
You know?
Actually, yeah, that's fair. If
Well,
they
and I mean,
hadn't
they
have
are
done
dickheads,
this-
you know, and they're willing to work for the cult of Robotnik at all. So clearly, you know, they're not to be trusted. But
If they got away with the treasure, I could see him being like, well, whatever. But like, no, he's not gonna just let them walk in.
yeah, I'm not really saying he's wrong to stop them. I'm just saying, like, this is an interesting dynamic shift, and I wish that it didn't mean nothing.
Well, it for me at least, it's some semblance of explanation as to how these ridiculously competent people are here out of nowhere. It's just they're not the same kind of megalomaniacal people that, you know, fall prey to you know, making quick mistakes in the moment that are really stupid.
Yeah, and I guess it's characterizing what little they get.
Basic.
So Knuckles throws a rock at Mrs. Alpha's remote that controls his shock collar, and it breaks. Or rather, by the time she picks it up, a Guardian robot here is here to break it.
Yeah, because apparently they can see them again.
Gasp! Why? She asks, and Delta says, "I don't know." And Knuckles is punched out Beta and Gamma, and well, they surrender very easily after this. Like, they don't even try to fight it. I guess they're not really shown to be physical fighters other than the gorilla guy.
Not really.
It seems like Delta just gives up as soon as he's confused.
I guess
I
so.
don't understand.
He has taken the most damage out of all of them, so maybe he's just tired. But we do in fact see how they could see them, which is to say, they couldn't. The robots were not acting on their own. Lewis piloted this one himself.
Nice.
That is cool.
Good shit, Lewis.
Yeah, that's cool.
I am endeared to this character, honestly. I think he might be the best character that these comics have put in. Like, even though I like Techno, she's not super complex. This guy has had the most change.
Lewis is, aside from the, you know, the characters from the games, I think Lewis has been given the most development as one of the original heroes.
Yeah. You could maybe make an
Cool,
argument
yeah.
for Short Fuse, but...
Shorty also, but Shorty's always been a little on the one-note side.
So, the day is saved, even though Knuckles still has a shock collar stuck to him.
And just take a pair of...
So, overall, kind of mediocre story, but there were some good moments here and there.
I didn't hate it. It was at least a situation where Knuckles was able to shine a bit more.
That's true. That's always nice.
And actually like defend Angel Island for once. And it goes to show that, you know, he can't necessarily do it on his own, but he'll give it his all, and it's a good moment.
Well, let's move along here to Whatever Happened to Grimer, Kitching in Corona. Something is fishy in Metropolis Zone when Sonic encounters a stray Metallics despite Robotnik being gone and Grimer being in prison.
That title is so blatant. I think the writers really did forget about Grimer.
They're like, oh shit, we needed with Grimer.
I mean, we also had Whatever Happened to Super Sonic before. Wasn't that the name of another story?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could say the same thing about that. I mean, they just let him walk away, and they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Fair
Grimer
enough.
just kind of disappeared. No.
Well, I think it's an older naming scheme for titles, because I'm thinking about whatever happened to Robot Jones as well, which is a cartoon I never watched, but I've heard of. And there's probably some source for all of those things. Regardless, we have a Noctalix rampaging through Metropolis, and it's time for Sonic to go to Punchies. But unfortunately, it is a Noctalix, which are really, really strong.
Yeah, so he immediately gets bitch slapped.
Yeah, and it's funny because Sonic's like, hey, I've beat these things before. You had help that time.
It's true.
Tails crushed it with a door.
That's a good point.
And case in point, without help, this one beats him.
Yeah.
Well, there goes Sonic, I guess.
Yep, Sonic.
That's it. The series is over.
Wow. Yeah, damn. Sonic lost the fight finally.
No, but it takes him to some base. Don't know exactly where this is yet.
Not terribly.
But Grimer is here. He's been busy. He's been busy since the disappearance of Robotnik, and he is scanning Sonic's memory of the situation.
Yes, it's very fitting that Grimer is just trying to look for Robotnik, truly loyal to the end.
Yeah, like, way too long.
Yeah. Well, he wipes Sonic's memory of being beaten and captured, so he just throws him back out into Metropolis. Memory-free and covered in broken metallic pieces.
Yep, and Sonic gets up and is just like, wow, aren't I so cool? Looks like I won. I don't even remember it.
Yeah. Well, and the memory wipe isn't perfect because Sonic still has kind of a Grimery feeling in his head. So he calls Metropolis's high-security prison and asks, hey, is Grimer still there? And, this is the moment that you learn Grimer was in prison at all, after all of that.
Right.
What roundabout.
It's really roundabout.
I was going through the whole way thinking this entire time they just let him walk off after all that.
I mean, it did kind of seem like that, so I can't...
Like so many Max Gambles before him.
Yes.
But, he is, in fact, sort of still in prison. It's more like he's commandeered the prison, I guess.
Yeah, he seems to be in charge.
Oh, so is that his base?
I guess so.
Maybe his base is in there or something, I don't know. But, the warden is, or governor, whatever he calls him, he's completely under Grimer's control, so he's gonna be scheming, he's gonna be manipulating things, and his eyes are drawn kind of disproportionate in this final shot. He looks a little funny.
Grimer's a kind of funny design, so he fits.
He's such a bizarre-looking character, you can't say that any particular drawing of him is unfitting.
That's true.
But we'll have to see what he's cooking up next time. For right now, we're going to see what someone else is cooking up in the Tails comics.
Oh boy.
Alright.
Starting off here with Recipe for Disaster, Stringer and Corona. Tails guests on a cooking show, but discovers that it, along with every other cooking show on the network, have been sabotaged. What's going on, and why should we care?
A very good question. I have a different question, though, which is, why is Tails guest starring on a cooking show?
That was my
so
first
random?
question.
Without enough heroing to do, you gotta find some way to occupy yourself. I don't know.
Gotta pay the bills somehow.
Well, I don't know if he's getting paid for this.
I mean, I like to think he
They
is.
do call him a celebrity guest, so maybe he's
Yeah.
like, what, me, a celebrity? Oh, okay, I'll come.
Oh, if you're gonna compliment me.
Yeah, maybe it's like they're always asking to get Sonic, but Sonic doesn't want to, and so they're like, well, we got the sidekick that might give us some ratings.
Admittedly, the sidekick that people have started that people do seem to actually like.
Sometimes.
Some of them. Yeah,
Sometimes.
it varies.
I mean, most of the time.
Anyway, yes, so Tails is on a cooking show with a horse guy here, and he's like, check out my cool chocolate surprise pudding, and the surprise is that it explodes.
Yeah, the surprise is death.
Well, nobody dies, I don't think. That would be pretty morbid.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so everybody evacuates because they're covered in chocolate now. And then these two llamas show up accusing the cook from the show of stealing and messing up their recipe. And then another guy shows up with an oven mitt filled with peas. And, and then it becomes an all-out skirmish between various TV chefs accusing each other of ruining their food. and like throwing food around and stuff.
So at this point, I really thought, oh, I get it. They're all desperate, and so they're all sabotaging each other. And now Tails is going to have to tell them to all play nice or something. But no, instead Tails instantly reads that, oh, someone's tricking all of you, which is not what I said.
Yes, and whatever kind of scheme this is supposed to be, how you could ever possibly think that it would be a good idea to do this and be the one TV chef who isn't being sabotaged, that's instantly going to make everybody suspicious of you. And it's Jerry Corfu? Gary? I don't know. It's this guy. He did it. What a coincidence that the one guy who didn't get sabotaged is the one who did it. Like, you would have to... It would be as simple as just, like, doing a fake sabotage for yourself when your show's not running or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, Tails shows up to j'accuse him, but he gets smacked by his giant spoon into his giant bowl. And I was thinking, is this guy gonna try to blend Tails? You know?
Oh no.
He says.
Like, why are you putting him in your food? Are you a cannibal? I guess I don't even know what species he is, but
I thought he was trying to, like, drown him or something.
Yeah, I think that's what
although
they're trying to...
he doesn't seem to be very drownable. He can even talk inside of it somehow.
yeah. Well, but again, this is all still happening on live television. What was that? What the hell was your plan?
Good point.
Okay, but the viewership would go wild.
That's also true.
Anyway, Tails splashes him with English trifle and flies out of there. That's it. They take his show off the air. That again, don't just do that. Also arrest him, but no.
Nah, they hit him harder by just taking him off the air, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. That's ridiculous.
Not much.
Yeah, not much.
Let's see if this one's any better. Fashion victims, Stringer and Pritchett. Oh no. Fashion designer Velvet Smith makes a statement of wearing broken badnik parts as accessories, but this creates trouble for Tails.
The fashion industry has really given up.
It has in Sonic the Comic as well.
I didn't expect the return of that imp badnik design from the Trojan Robotnik story, but they're using it here.
Yeah, the elephant guy wearing it as a necklace.
I also didn't expect... Eldorado Zone apparently is just like a mainstay at this point. It just keeps showing up again.
It does.
I mean, when you're doing a story about fashion industry, you are going to need the snooty rich people town, so...
Makes sense.
And yeah, so everybody's wearing broken badnik parts, despite it not looking that good, but
Yeah, I want to meet the person we do get to meet the person who thought this was a good idea.
Yep.
yes, Velvet Smith, the lion man. He's very jealous of how others' badnik wear looks, and is like, I can get something better. So he decides, hey, what if I intentionally reveal Tails' location to Robotnik? This was before that of the story. And get him to send some robots after us.
So...
That's certainly a plan.
There is an idea here that I like. It's in a not great story, unfortunately. The idea of someone intentionally luring badniks in to use them as scrap is actually a cool idea.
But yeah, that's not a terrible idea. But, like, the plan itself is odd.
Well, and the premise of the story, the fact that it's just like, I need something unique to wear on my face.
Right. That being the logic behind it is certainly an idea.
Yeah, because, like, imagine the heroes are like, oh, you know, Techno is building some special weapon, but we need badnik scrap to be able to do it, so we'll lure some in.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Maybe it's something even that goes on, like, without Sonic, but they're like, oh, we can handle it, and Sonic is like, no, this is a terrible idea, and he gets back there too late, and he has to save them. Something like that, you know?
Yeah. I would have gone for that.
But that's not what this is. Instead, badniks do indeed attack, and Velvet here tells Tails to hold back because he wants the parts for his outfit. What do you mean hold back? They're just gonna capture you, you idiot.
And look what happens.
Yeah, they do, is the point, yeah. Also smacking Tails in the process, but unfortunately... This is a side story in Sonic the Comic, which means that we are finished with it in 5 panels. Arguably 3.
These 5-page stories, really something.
Tails blows all the robots away, he smashes them, and drops Smith into some trees, and then everyone interprets the leaves, torn clothes, and frizzed up hair as a new fashion statement. You should be imprisoned. Feel like I'm saying that a lot.
You know what? I'll take this as a fashion idea over wearing badnik.
At least you don't have to worry about the leaves turning back on and exploding.
Exactly.
Dumb story, good job, Tails.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Alright, next up. Desert Fox, Stringer, and Dobbin. Tails helps out Willy Waddle, a comedian stranded in the desert by Robotnik.
Yeah, specifically stranded in Scorchio Zone.
Scorchio Zone? I didn't even
That's
read that.
certainly a
Yes.
name. Yeah.
Fuck it, 9 out of 10. I like it.
What? Really?
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
enough.
This is where the Marxio brothers come from. Everything has EO on the end.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's gotta be it.
So, yeah, we start off with this Penguinio in the desert and dying. And something appears in the sky in front of me and is like, fuck, it's a badnik, I'm gonna die. But it's actually Tails, who is here to help, because apparently this guy, Willy Waddle here, was a comedian who, like, made fun of Robotnik too much and got on his bad side and got stranded in the desert.
Would have been a better story while Robotnik was still in power. But I do still like the idea of Robotnik trying to, like, silence people that make fun of him. Even though I feel like that would be a lot harder at this point.
Yeah, it reminds me of the make fun of Robotnik on TV show thing from a while back.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna go home, I guess, but they get attacked by, and I quote, a sandworm, one of Robotnik's new badniks. That's not new.
Well, I don't remember this exact design.
No, okay, it looks different. I don't know if that's just Dobbin's, interpretation, but we had that whole conversation about the sandworm badniks in the Death Egg episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This thing, on the other hand, is big and kind of ugly. That's not really what the face of the badnik looked like.
Yeah. Pretty dumb, too, because Pinguinio just tells a joke, and that is enough to distract it, so that Tails can destroy it.
Why would a badnik respond to that? And yeah, no matter how big it is, Tails still beats it in one hit anyway. So, yeah, Willy is returned home safe, and Tails is shocked to discover that all of his jokes are dog shit.
People still laugh at them, though.
Yeah, that's because this comic's idea of civilians are complete frigging sheep.
Oof.
I would like to point out that earlier Sonic was like, oh, okay, Tails, you can only beat old badniks, but this is explicitly a new badnik, so he still got it.
It's true.
Hell yeah. Actually, there's no flicky inside it either now I'm thinking about it. Or at least we don't see one.
Yeah, it's one of those weird animalist badniks.
Alright, moving on. Fog warning, Stringer and Dobbin. Johnny and Tails head to Sun Valley Zone. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. To investigate some suspicious activity. And they do find some. And
yeah, we should have read this story before shady characters, but oh well.
So I was going to bring that up. Obviously, the story has some foreshadowing that Johnny, what looks like Johnny, is Agent X. The thing is, I actually am glad we didn't, because it would make it so damn obvious.
Fair.
Yes, it is incredibly obvious, and we're jumping ahead a little bit saying that, but also knowing that this story was here makes the other story make a little more sense, because like when I was reading that story, I'm just like, so Agent X, but then Johnny is actually not Johnny. It was just a lot all at once, but it makes more sense if they actually spread it out a little bit.
I suppose for pacing reasons you could argue that it makes more sense to reveal it here. And yes, we are getting ahead of ourselves, but like you can kind of already see how this is going. It's like, oh, Johnny tells Tails to check out Sun Valley Zone because apparently there's badniks there. So we fly there in the plane, and we crash the plane because there's too much fog. Also,
there was a more subtle hint that Johnny was evil, because when Johnny approaches, he makes a Shining reference.
Oh yeah, he does.
But yeah, then Agent X shows up, so it's like, huh, interesting. Where'd Johnny go? I don't know.
What a shock, yeah. And yeah, he shoots at Tails exactly once, but then Tails uses his amazing rotor ass to blow away all the fog. And, if you didn't draw Agent X in the background, you could almost convince us that Agent X was actually Wendy Wallace here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And yeah, Wendy's back.
For some reason, she has become a recurring villain.
I guess they finally got the job with Robotnik that they always wanted.
Maybe. Does she
yeah.
say anything about Robotnik? I mean, I guess if Agent X is here and he's allegedly working for Robotnik.
Yeah, no, she doesn't say anything about Robotnik, but that would make sense, actually.
Anyway, Tails picks up Johnny's staff, which is just lying on the ground for some reason, and he smashes up her latest weather machine.
Yeah.
And then, conveniently, Johnny comes back and is like, Agent X is probably with Wendy. She ran away again.
Yeah.
How'd you know, Agent?
That's a good point.
Anyway, so that's that. And, yeah, I don't know. Maybe put this in a different order.
It's not the biggest deal, but in
It really
retrospect,
isn't.
I'm like, okay, they handled it a little bit better than I thought.
Yeah. It's not the biggest deal, mostly because the Agent X Shadow Monster plotline was not the biggest deal on its own.
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't.
It was resolved way, way faster than I expected.
Yeah.
Well, let's move along here to First Flight. Stringer and Corona and also Dobbin, I don't remember which did who. Somebody did color, somebody did lines, that's what it is. In a flashback to Tails' early life in the Nameless Zone, he is bullied by other foxes and finds a way to put his miraculous second tail to use. Got an origin story.
Kind of weird. Okay.
Random, kind of random spot to have her on.
I'm just thinking, we got two brown foxes here. They call them Witless and Scratchy. But the opening cutscene of Tails in Sonic Origins has him getting bullied by two brown foxes.
Yeah, I immediately thought of that.
Is that a reference?
That's an interesting question.
I think Tyson Hess has read these comics, so... Or wait, did he direct the Origins? I know Ian Flynn has read them, and he worked on those, so...
I'm pretty sure Hess also...
Yeah.
It's possible.
It feels probable, or at least plausible,
I mean, yeah, it seems like it could.
Yeah. Anywho, these guys are just two assholes.
Yeah.
Witless talks himself up as being... so strong and powerful, which is why he bullies children, obviously.
Yes.
So these bat guys, who do you work for? Are these, emissaries of Trog? No, they say a rival group of warriors.
Yeah, at first I was like, why didn't they use a pre-established character, or at least race? But then I realized, I guess they would need wings. But yeah, they could have at least said, we work for something.
Trog or Vulpecula. Remember that one? I don't. But they show up and they're like, that kid's powerful, huh? Let's steal them. they wanna kidnap him for their blood sport, apparently.
God damn.
And yeah, obviously his stories about fighting 6 bears at once were made up, but it's all up to Tails to save his own bully.
Just let him go to the blood sport.
Especially since you almost die doing this, Tails. He runs after him and just doesn't see the giant cliff in front of him.
You're right. He just kind of walks off.
He does.
I guess that's one way to force yourself to learn to fly.
Ooh,
okay,
yeah.
but wait, huh? You just flailing around and starts to fly? That seems extremely improbable.
It's very contrived.
I'm trying to remember, because didn't Archie also have a story about Tails learning to fly?
Probably.
Yes, but wasn't he just maybe I can fly?
Yeah, it's like they talk about it beforehand, and then he's like, what if I try this? Here he does it completely by accident, all on instinct. And this would be so much easier to resolve if any Sonic continuity cared about, the fact that Tails being a multi-tailed flying fox is a part of, mythology. It's a kitsune thing.
That's expecting Westerners to know Japanese.
People have been talking about how the ending of Sonic Frontiers almost seems like there should be a time skip between it and the next main game. And I think it'd be really funny if they did a time skip, and because of the Kitsune lore, Tails in the next game had a third tail.
Just occasionally do time skips and he just grows another tail.
Because that's how it works. But
it's true. That is how it works for a Kitsune. That's an interesting idea, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, for all our complaints about Tails being useless early on in these comics, here he's essentially being retconned into a hero right from the start.
Right. I guess that does kind of more explain why the people... What was his zone called again?
Nameless.
The Nameless Zone. It has no name.
Yeah.
They still haven't addressed that. They need to address that sometime.
Yeah. I guess that does explain why they would view him as some kind of hero already, and
well, but the weird thing is that they always say that Tails was viewed that way because he was lying about being strong,
That's
and
true.
now they're positioning right next to a guy who lied about being strong and got himself into trouble for it.
Yeah, the problem is Tails acts like Tails acts in the comics in current time, instead of like he should have acted at that time.
We were talking back in the Tantrum story about how they added this character who was deliberately annoying and even had Tails reference how annoying Tails used to be. And now we have this, and both of those I think are a result of Stringer, like, seeing complaints or maybe thinking about, you know, the problems with it and, like, overcorrecting.
Yeah.
Very possibly, yeah. Either way, I think this story doesn't do very well as a sequel story.
Not really.
Not as a prequel, at least as an exhibition of Tails being good, it's fine, but it's like... It doesn't get us to the start very well. It gave us something rather than a lot of Tails stories. Oh, hey, look, it's another one. This is Clear as Mud. That's not me describing the story, that's the title. Stringer and Flint. Tails and Harry Mole investigate a series of mysterious art thefts.
I knew Harry Mole
again.
I knew he would return because, you know, they gave him an organization with an acronym. It was obvious they wanted him to return at some point.
That is a good
comics
like a
love
random
their
thing to do.
Yes, so art gallery pieces are being stolen. There's paintings of Sonic and Short Fuse in the gallery.
That's a good point. Why are there paintings of them?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, they're heroes.
They're famous heroes, I guess, yeah.
The thing is that this Short Fuse painting, it looks like they just scaled down a panel from another comic.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm almost certain they did. But the Sonic one looks like they tried redrawing one of the covers, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you'd redraw one, but then just, like, Photoshop the other. But regardless, Harry Mole is on the case of the stolen paintings, but he's too lame, so we gotta get Tails here to compensate.
Nah, this totally should have been a Harry Mole solo.
He couldn't even have the first story of his to himself. And it's easy to see why, because there's not really room for investigation and mystery in these comics.
Not really.
They lock themselves in the gallery at night, and the culprit just reveals himself.
It's so dumb.
It's really dumb. It's so dumb.
They call this guy the Treasure Seeker, and he's a green chameleon who turns invisible, like SBO.
I do kind of like the idea of a chameleon thief who just gets in during the day and turns invisible, but I don't know. I feel like it's just lame also here.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you were going to do something, you know, and maybe this is me too much modern Sonic leaking through, but it's like, maybe put SBO in charge of fighting the other invisible guy, have them have, like, a ninja battle.
Yeah, but...
I know this was before SBO's a ninja, that's what I'm saying, but...
They could have gone with the invisible aspect. We've shown SBO going invisible.
Although it is funny, it's like, oh hey, that gives us an opportunity to do a super special 15 and just have a bunch of panels with nothing in them as they fight.
God.
Archie.
We can be lazy again?
Anyway, he steals the Golden Handshake, which is a sculpture of two hands interlocking, and it's made gold.
Just as described.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then he's like, ha, you fools. Now I will escape. And then he teleports, or so everyone thinks.
Yeah, I mean...
But Tails is actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
So...
Well, so he goes invisible and uninvisible, and they don't know for certain that what he's doing is invisibility and not teleportation. The problem is, I'm racking my brain. Has Tails ever met SBO?
He literally references SBO later.
Oh, yeah. So that's just fucking... Why would you think he's teleporting, asshole?
Yeah.
And, yeah, Tails just spots his footprints in the grass, and he's just right there. Why did he stay right next to them as they were standing around? Just run away.
Too busy laughing to himself, probably.
Apparently. So Tails spins the Tails and covers him in mud, and they can see him. And yeah, old Sticky Fingers hadn't teleported at all. He's a chameleon like Espio. He'd simply turn invisible. Why did you even...
It's because everyone else was so convinced that he was teleporting. And, you know, Tails is like, well...
A relentless follower of the crowd, Tails, of course. And I'm not even joking. That's kind of true about Tails.
Yeah, in these comics, that kind of is true, actually.
So, he runs away, but he trips over a molehill dug by Harry. Harry did it. MVP.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Why does both this and Archie have a completely throwaway side character named Harry that we end up liking?
Oh, it took me a minute. Yes, Harry the cab driver. That okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I just like that this guy is just the most random character.
It's the arbitrarity, yeah.
Yes.
Well, they get all the shit back. Good job, guys. All right, keep moving. This is making the news. Stringer and McMahon, in the sleepy town of Small Zone, 2 out of 10. Reporter Clark Bent, yes, that's his name, is looking for some more interesting news to cover, and then Tails gets wrapped up in a strange conflict. I mean, I guess it's a Smallville joke now that I'm realizing the Clark Kent pun.
I mean, it
Doesn't
little
excuse it.
No, I feel like it's a little odd to see a Superman joke in a British comic, but I know Superman was plenty popular around the world.
Well, I don't have any problem with that. Well, the problem that I have is that there's no reason to make this guy a Clark Kent reference because he doesn't.
No, that is
he's
also
a news
true.
guy. That's the only connection.
Well, yeah, if they wanted him to go the full Clark Kent, they should have made him some sort of superhero.
Yeah, even if they still did a villainous twist on. But yes, he's.
Whoa, spoilers.
Oh no, I'm spoiling this 26-year-old it's way more than 25 years. I'm spoiling this very old comic that is not even that good. Anyway, so, yes, Clark Bent here is reporting on Small Zone's folk rolling contest. They just spin dudes?
I love that. That's great. Like, all the power to these people that have fun in the most weird ways.
I mean, I guess the idea, because, the other part of the report is cacti and birds exist. So it's, it's a slow news week. That's the whole point. But, like, just spin... Like, this is something that I'd imagine, because they show them spinning this frog dude and he's, like, in the air. So it's like, this is something I could see at, like, some... European, like, Scandinavian country at, like, some festival. So if these guys are all pissed drunk, then okay, I get it. Anyway, Clark here would really like to cover real stories like badnik attacks and stuff.
Fair enough, honestly.
Well, good news. A giant dinosaur is attacking the town now.
Not really a badnik, but close enough, I guess.
It's time for Tails to help. But he's not Sonic, so the panicking citizens all ignore him.
Of course.
They're all running away from the destruction. They gotta get out of here. Did you guys check to look at the destruction?
Yeah, did you check to make sure that it's actually happening, kids?
Your point about all the ordinary citizens being sheep in these comics is very true.
It is.
It really is. Because, as it turns out, they're running from nothing.
Yeah, because no one decided to actually make sure that it was happening.
The rampaging beast and destruction is nowhere to be found. It cannot be seen or heard except on television, which everybody saw and just assumed it was real.
I like that the TV features the building that you can clearly see right there. It is in, and there is no dinosaur.
That is true, yeah.
It's like, it's one thing that some people thought, like, War of the Worlds was real. This is another level entirely.
So there's actually a fun fact about that real quick. There's no evidence that people actually thought that was real.
That's
another story.
That's hilarious. I didn't even...
Either way, this once again could have been... It's too short of a story is the problem. They wanted to make it simplistic. Having a reporter that's news like this to trick people, you can do stuff with that, but they just didn't really try.
Basically.
Well, it's not that they didn't try, it's just that, like, the structure of this, there's no room for it, and maybe you can say that counts as not trying. I'm wondering, is there some kind of rule that they're not allowed to serialize too much, or maybe if they do that, then maybe they've noticed that, like, that hurts sales or something?
I would feel like if they're serializing, it would be better sales, because that's like, oh shit, the story ended and I want to know more.
I don't know, because there's always boundless creativity on display in these comics, but then it just stops.
Yeah, the 5-part stories really, or the 5-page stories really screws these comics a lot.
I don't think there's been any 5-page story that's like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. Like,
there's been some
how
funny
can
ones, but nothing that's like, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's always just little moments that we like.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because
Yeah, I want to like it.
Yeah, I want to see more, you know? It's like you can develop a lot of these things. But 'twas not to be, I suppose, and, he gets arrested, by the way. He's a guy that got arrested. That's
Finally, holy shit!
It's like a 20 or 30% chance that that'll happen to a throwaway villain.
Jesus Christ!
But that's our last story for tonight. Lot of 5-pagers, and you know what? Next time on Deep Dive Zone, there will be more of those.
Okay.
God help me.
It's alright. It just means that it'll be easier to read through quickly. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
We'll see Amy and Techno again next time, and I do enjoy them.
That's fair.
But with all that said, that is where we are cutting it off for tonight. Thank you to my co-host for being here. Thank you to all of our viewers so much for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for yawning and interrupting when I'm trying to do the outro, Bruce.
Yeah, and I was hoping that wouldn't pick up on my mic.
If you like this episode, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I already said that, but it is still true. And if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, suggestions, or feedback, you can reach us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. We will see you next week. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And take care.